While President Biden is on a 10-day vacation in Delaware, the drama surrounding Hunter Biden is unfolding as his plea deal collapses. A new op-ed in the Wall Street Journal calling Hunter a geopolitical disaster, and his father's strategy is deny everything. But he'll only be shielded from Hunter, the op-ed argues, if the media plays ball. From the op-ed, quote, "This high-wire act has zero chance of success without a deliberate and voluntary decision of news organizations to pretend they don't see what's before their eyes. Don't put it past them." The media is all but shaming Biden into finally acknowledging his seventh grandchild, Hunter's daughter, after one outlet after another calls him out. He's now telling People magazine, quote, "Our son Hunter and Navy's mother London are working together to foster a relationship that is in the best interest of their daughter, preserving her privacy as much as possible going forward. This is not a political issue. It is a family matter. Jill and I only want what is best for all of our grandchildren, including Navy." I want to get to Navy, but let's go back to this op-ed, this geopolitical disaster. We were talking a little bit even before this show. Obviously, I was covering in Delaware the Hunter plea deal fall apart. And now, as Holman Jenkins in the Wall Street Journal points out, this is becoming a bigger problem. And you're seeing more and more of my colleagues in the media say, well, it's, nothing. It sort of fell apart, but it'll be fine. But it's not. To state the record, Judge Norika has given each side 30 days to come back and explain to her why this deal is anything but a sweetheart deal. Question is, obviously, will the media play along? Tammy, start with you.
Well, the media always plays along. But the one bump of when they didn't was after Afghanistan. That was so shocking to people. The media reported that as a disaster, as a catastrophe. But clearly, the media's always gone along. This piece from Politico in our last segment about Kamala Harris could have been written by Kamala, but it's not a word salad, so it probably wasn't. But they're already being like the party organism for the next election. So they're going to have to do it unless there's a signal from inside the party that it is time for a change. And then you'll see if that occurs. It won't occur because it's the right thing to do, to talk about the transparency and to be honest. It's because the party is ready to move on from Joe Biden. And then they're going to do that through the media. So we see that. And I think people expect the plea deal to come back or be okay, because it was expected to be so in the first place. They still can't believe that there was a judge that didn't rubber stamp the situation.
You've got, obviously, the plea deal collapses. Meanwhile, I was also reporting on the 3 new charges in the superseding indictment on former President Trump out of the alleged mishandling of those classified documents. Media very much talking about that. Yeah. In fact, just this evening out in Erie, Pennsylvania, former President Trump was talking about the media not covering Hunter, but of course they cover him. Here's a little bit of what he said. Take a listen.
This is the biggest scandal in U.S. history and perhaps the world, and yet the media doesn't want to report on it. They play a different game. They play a much tougher game of hardball. I will appoint a real special prosecutor to expose the monumental corruption of the Biden crime family.
Tommy, there's obviously the calls of a 2-tiered system in America. That's now become a big part of the 2024 campaign. But what former President Trump's talking about right there in the media treatment to him versus, say, Hunter's case, do you see a double standard?
Well, obviously there's a double standard. But I do think at some point, though, Donald Trump likes when they cover his indictments and his legal troubles, because every time the media does cover it, he goes up, at least in the Republican primary polls. So I don't think that it hurts him for them to talk about his legal troubles. It seems to only help him. But I do feel like there's some sense in the American public, not the people that do media or journalism or the people that are running for office, but just the average American out there, that they're just so sick of investigations and special counsels, and they're so sick of the legal problems. They just want to talk about the issues that impact Americans. So as Tammy said earlier, I think that there is going to be an undercurrent of people who are just sick of all of it. And they're saying, Joe's got a lot of problems. Trump's got a lot of problems. Is there anybody that's just going to talk about we the people? Because I want to hear more about that.
Well, and we'll see whether or not the media covers this changing tone in the White House, because remember, Joe Biden always said, I know nothing about my son's business dealings. Now the official line is that he was not in business with his son. We'll see where that goes. But I want to get to the seventh grandchild with you, Jason. You're a grandfather. And now
you don't look at it all.
Maureen Dowd to call him out that finally the White House would change their tune. But here is our own Peter Doocy asking President Biden about it previously before they changed their tune. Take a listen.
Mr. Vice President, I'm wondering if you have a comment on this report and court filing out of Arkansas that your son Hunter just made you a grandfather again.
No, that's a private matter. I have no comment.
Thank you.
But only you would ask that.
Thank you.
You're a good man. You're a good man.
Thank you, guys. This is all
Classy.
the time we have.
See, insults him with classy, but now, of course, once Maureen Dowd writes about it, of course, they have to change their tune. Is this insulting?
Well, it's insulting for this little girl. It's embarrassing because there are millions of families that go through similar types of situations. For the president to put out a statement on a Friday in the summer to People magazine, of all things, saying, we only put the best interests of our granddaughter, that is so bogus. That is garbage. That is offensive. They were just in court trying to make sure that they could limit the payments that they were going to go to this little girl and her mother. And don't tell me it's all about what was best for the girl, because if they could, they've had this paternity test in place for a couple years. They could have acknowledged that a long time ago.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.